Since childhood, we are taught one thing. Think good, and good will happen. We accept it. We think good thoughts. We try to stay positive all the time. And we expect that everything in life will turn out well. Yet, life stays the same. The same problems. The same struggles. Why? Because the real truth is, your life is controlled not just by your thoughts, but by the hidden thoughts running in your mind. This book reveals something important, how your mind is quietly shaping your life. And maybe the most frightening part is, you don't even know what those hidden thoughts inside you really are. So let's understand these hidden thoughts. In this video, you will learn the force that is controlling you from within. The one mistake that breaks good intentions before they even begin. Why your mind rejects change on its own. The pattern that hides behind every failure. The one shift that can change the way you think forever. The truth that is uncomfortable but necessary. And the tool that teaches your mind to work in your favor. And the most important part of this video is at the end. Those who reach there do not return as the same person. Book Echo English. Where we don't just read books. We read life. Here, we bring only those books that have truly changed people's lives. If you also want to change something in your life, then subscribe now. Because the next video might be the one you've been waiting for. So let's begin. Tell me one thing. What is the very first thought that comes to your mind when you wake up in the morning? If most people answer honestly, it is usually some old tension, some unfinished task, or something that happened yesterday that is still stuck in the mind. And that is where your entire day begins. Now think about this. If your day begins with that kind of thinking, what will the day look like? Exactly the same. This is not a coincidence. It is a pattern. And understanding this pattern is the foundation of this entire book. We often think that our thoughts are just a reaction. Something happens outside, and we start thinking about it. But the truth is a little different. Our thinking is not just a reaction. It is a construction. Which means, what we think slowly starts shaping our reality. Let's understand this with a small example. Suppose there are two people. Both of them get rejected in an interview. The first person thinks, I can't do this. I'm just not good enough. The second person thinks, okay, now I understand where I was lacking. From the outside, the situation is the same. Both received a rejection. But on the inside, their worlds are completely different. The first person's mind will now see every new opportunity through the lens of that rejection. He will give up before even applying. Slowly, he will keep shrinking his own confidence. The second person will take that same rejection as feedback. He will prepare better next time. And move forward. One situation. Different thinking. And the result, a world of difference. This is the real power of thought. Now science also supports this idea. Researchers have discovered a concept called neuroplasticity. It means that our brain is not fixed. It can change. And it changes. Based on the thoughts we repeat again and again. When you think the same way repeatedly, your brain creates a pathway for that thought. Just like in a forest. If people walk through the same path again and again, a trail begins to form there. The first time walking that path was difficult. But now, it has become automatic. The same thing happens with our thinking. Think negatively again and again. And the brain strengthens that pathway. Start thinking in a new way. And a new pathway begins to form. But building a new pathway takes time. And this is where most people give up. They try for a few days. They do not see results immediately. And then they assume that This does not work for me. But the truth is, it is working. You just cannot see it yet. Just like beneath the soil, a seed is slowly beginning to grow. From the surface nothing is visible. But inside, a lot is changing. So if you have ever thought, my thinking is just like this, I cannot change, then this book says something different. Your thinking can change. Your brain can change. But for that, the first thing you must understand is, what is actually driving your thinking? And the answer is, your subconscious mind. So let's understand this subconscious mind a little more closely. Because this is the place where your good intentions break before they even begin. So the power of thought is clear. But one question still remains. If thoughts are so powerful, then why do our good intentions break in the middle? This is the mistake that breaks everything before it even begins. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you want to do something? You truly want to. You even make a plan. And still, nothing happens. Where does that motivation go? Where does that intention disappear? Most people assume it is their weakness. I don't have willpower. I can't stay consistent. Maybe this just isn't for me. But the truth is, this is not your weakness. This is the work of your subconscious mind. Now let's understand what this actually is. Our brain works in two parts. The first, the conscious mind. This is the part that is active right now. When you make a decision. When you create a plan. When you do something thoughtfully. This is the part that is working. And the second, the subconscious mind. This is the part that keeps running in the background. Always. 24 hours. Even while you are asleep. This part runs your habits. It stores your old memories. It holds your deep-rooted beliefs. And the most important thing, it decides how you will automatically react in a situation. Now here is something interesting. Scientists say that almost 95% of our daily actions and decisions are controlled by the subconscious mind. Only 5% are conscious. Which means when you think, I am making this decision, your subconscious mind has actually already decided it. Feels a little uncomfortable, right? But that is the truth. Now let's understand this with a real situation. There is a girl, Priya. Every time she is about to apply for a new job, she stops. Some excuse always appears. Maybe this isn't the right time. Let me prepare a little more. Maybe I'm not qualified for this role. Consciously, Priya wants to move forward. But her subconscious mind, which has carried the belief since childhood that you can't do this, stops her every time. And Priya feels like it is her choice. But in reality, it is her subconscious making an automatic response. The same thing happens with you. And with me too. All of us are living with some kind of old programming. Programming we are not even aware of. But which pulls us back at every important moment. So what should we do? The first step is recognition. Whenever you notice yourself holding back, whenever an excuse appears automatically, pause for a second. And ask yourself, is this my thinking, or my old programming? It is a small question. But it makes you conscious. And the moment you become conscious, the automatic control of the subconscious begins to weaken. If you've made it this far, be sure to like the video. Because the most interesting part is still coming. Why is this subconscious mind so powerful? Because it holds those beliefs that were formed over many years. Beliefs we never consciously chose. Beliefs that were simply placed upon us. And these beliefs decide how capable you believe you are. How much you ask from life. And where you stop. And the roots of those beliefs might surprise you. So far we have understood the subconscious mind. But there is another thing here. That is even more powerful than that. Your mind rejects change on its own. And behind this is a reason that most people never even think about. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever said to yourself, "I'm bad with numbers. My luck is just bad. No one in our family has ever been successful. What can I possibly do?" If you have ever thought this, then pause for a second. Because there is a truth that might surprise you. You did not come up with these thoughts yourself. Someone taught them to you. And that is the real truth about beliefs. Beliefs are not something we carefully sit down and choose. Beliefs are something that slowly, since childhood, are placed into our minds. And we start accepting them as truth, without questioning them. Now let's understand this with a small story. There is a child, Arjun. Arjun was very curious as a child. He wanted to touch everything. He wanted to try everything. One day while playing, he broke something in the house. His father said in anger, "You can't do anything properly." Said once. "It doesn't make much difference." Said twice. Still manageable. But when the same thing starts being repeated again and again, at home, at school, from relatives, then slowly, Arjun's subconscious mind stores it like a fact. I can't do anything properly. Now years have passed. Arjun has grown up. His father no longer says this to him. But the interesting thing is, now Arjun himself says this to himself. Before every new task. Maybe I won't be able to do it. This belief has now become his own voice. And this is the most dangerous part. When someone else judges us, we can defend ourselves. But when we ourselves start saying the same thing to ourselves, we begin to believe that it is the truth. Pause for a second. Because the most interesting part is about to begin. Now let's talk a little about science. Our brain works in a very specific way. When a thought or belief is repeated again and again, the brain creates a strong neural pathway for it, which means that belief becomes a solid pathway inside the brain. And whenever new information comes that does not match that belief, the brain automatically rejects it. Just like if you have believed for years that this road is closed, and someone shows you a new path, you will immediately say, "No, this won't work." This is the reason people watch motivational videos, read books, make new plans. But after a few days, they return to the same place where they started. Because the information on the surface changed. But the belief inside remained exactly the same. Now the biggest question. Can beliefs be changed? The answer is yes. But for that, simply thinking positive is not enough. First you must recognize that belief. Then you must challenge it. And slowly make space for a new belief. This process is not easy. But it is not impossible either. And to understand this process, we need to look at one more thing. The hidden pattern in your life. That pattern, which quietly works behind every failure. It cannot be seen. But every time, it pulls you back to the same place. And in the next part, we will talk about that pattern. So far we have understood where beliefs come from. But the real problem begins here. Because these beliefs do not remain just thoughts. They slowly turn into a pattern. A pattern that is quietly working behind every failure in your life. And the most dangerous part? You do not even realize that this pattern exists. Let me ask you a question. Is there something in your life that you try again and again, but every time you end up stopping at the same place? A goal that starts every time, but never gets completed. A relationship that breaks at the same point every time. Or a dream that always remains just a plan. If this has happened to you, it is not your bad luck. It is a pattern. And at the root of that pattern are limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs mean those beliefs that quietly keep telling you what you cannot do, how capable you are, and where your limits are. And these beliefs are very clever. They never directly say, "You can't do this." No. They simply appear as a feeling. A small hesitation. A doubt. A voice that says, "Maybe this isn't the right time yet." Or, "Maybe I'm just not made for this." Now let's understand this with a simple example. Suppose there is a boy, Rahul. Rahul is a talented photographer. When people see his photos, they often say, "Bro, you could become a professional photographer." But the interesting thing is, Rahul has never taken even a single client. Why? It is not a lack of talent. But in his mind there is a belief. To become successful you need money. You need resources. You need connections. And I have none of these. He did not create this belief himself. He heard it since childhood. At home. From relatives. From society. And slowly, he accepted it as the truth. Now whenever an opportunity appears, Rahul's mind automatically filters it out. This isn't for me. And the opportunity quietly passes by. Rahul thinks his luck is bad. But in reality, his limiting belief stops him every time. Now if you have been watching this video until this point, then write in the comments, "I am ready." Because the next part could be a game changer for you. Now the question is, how do we recognize these limiting beliefs? For that, there is a simple exercise. Next time, whenever you step back from something, pause for a second and ask yourself 3 questions. The first question: why can't I do this? The second question: who gave me this belief? And the third question: is there any proof for it? Or is it just an assumption? In most cases, you will have a shocking realization. That belief has no solid proof. It is just an old story that you have been telling yourself for years. And the day you begin to question that story, that is the day the pattern starts to break. But recognizing the pattern alone is not enough. Real change happens when you replace that old belief with a new belief. And for that, you need a small mental shift. A shift that can change the direction of your thinking. And in the next part, we will talk about that shift. So don't go anywhere yet. Because the most powerful part of the video is still coming. So now we understand one thing. The same results that keep appearing again and again in our lives are not accidents. They are a pattern. And behind that pattern are our beliefs. But now the biggest question is, if the pattern is wrong, how do we break it? And this is where a small mental shift comes in. A shift that can change the way you think forever. But before that, let's make one thing clear. This shift is not the advice that says, just think positive. Because honestly, thinking positive all the time is not even possible. And people who say, just stay positive, everything will be fine, are only telling half the story. The full truth is something else. The real problem is not that negative thoughts appear. The real problem is what you do when a negative thought appears. That is what changes the entire game. Now let's understand this with a little science. Every day our mind produces around 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts. And research says that about 80% of them are negative. Which means if negative thoughts appear in your mind, it does not mean that you are weak. This is the brain's default mode. The brain's job is to look for danger, notice problems, imagine the worst-case scenario. Because millions of years ago, this helped us survive. So if negative thoughts appear in your mind, you are not abnormal. You are simply human. But the real problem begins when we start believing those thoughts. When we get carried away with them. And slowly, those thoughts become our identity. This is just who I am. This always happens to me. I cannot change. Now let's understand this with an example. Suppose there is a man, Vikram. Vikram has to give a presentation at the office. Before the presentation, a thought appears in his mind. I will forget everything. People will judge me. I will fail. Now there are two ways to handle this thought. The first way: ignore the thought. Tell yourself, no, everything will be fine, think positive. But this method often does not work. Because the thought does not disappear. It just gets suppressed. And under pressure, it returns even stronger. The second way is to acknowledge the thought, accept it, and then reframe it. Which means Vikram can say to himself, yes, I feel nervous. And that means this presentation is important to me. And when something is important, feeling a little nervous is normal. And people who care usually perform better. The situation is the same. The nervousness is the same. But now that nervousness is not a weakness. It has become a signal. This is called reframing. You do not forcefully change the thought. You change the way you look at that thought. Now the question is, how do we practice this? There is a simple technique called cognitive reframing. Whenever a negative thought appears, pause for 3 seconds and ask yourself 3 questions. The first: is this thought really true? Or is it just my fear? The second: if my best friend were in this situation, what advice would I give them? And the third: is there another way to look at this situation? Often you will discover something interesting. The things you say to yourself are things you would never say to someone else. Very often, we are our own harshest critic. And the day we stop being that critic, from that day onward, the mind's energy begins to shift from self-destruction to self-creation. If you have made it this far, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Because on Book Echo, every week we bring books that do not just motivate you. They change the way you think. But the story does not end here. Because even after beliefs, patterns, and reframing, there is still another layer. A truth that may feel a little uncomfortable. But it is the missing piece of this entire puzzle. And in the next topic, we will talk about that. Everything we have understood so far was connected to your inner world, your beliefs, your thoughts, your patterns. But now there is a truth that may feel a little uncomfortable. But if you understand it, a lot of things suddenly become clear. The truth is, what you want does not come just by thinking about it. Wait. This is not what you might be thinking. This is not proving the law of attraction wrong. In fact, this is its correct explanation. Because most people understand the law of attraction only halfway. They think, just visualize it, and the universe will deliver it. Just think positive, and everything will happen on its own. But when that does not happen, people say, this is all nonsense. But the truth is, they only tried half of the law of attraction. The full idea is something else. The law of attraction says, your thoughts and your feelings together create an energy. And that energy shapes your actions, influences your decisions, and slowly builds your reality. But there is one word here that is very important. Feelings. Just thinking is not enough. Along with that thought, there must also be a genuine feeling. Now let's understand this with a simple example. Suppose there are two people. The first person every night before sleeping says to himself, I will become successful. I will become successful. But deep inside, he does not truly believe it. He is simply repeating the sentence because a motivational video told him to do so. Now there is another person. He also thinks about success. But the difference is, he feels that moment. He imagines how it will feel when he achieves his goal. He feels excitement inside. A genuine belief appears. Now think about this. Between these two people, whose actions will be different? Whose mind will notice opportunities differently? Who will take more chances? The answer is the second person. Because his thinking and feeling are aligned. This is called vibrational alignment. When your thinking and your feelings work in the same direction, your entire mind begins to focus in that direction. You start noticing opportunities that were invisible before. You start making decisions that once felt risky. You begin meeting people who help you move forward. This is not magic. This is the effect of a focused mind. But now a practical question appears. If feelings are so important, where will genuine feelings come from? When doubt exists inside. When past failures come to mind. When people have said for years, you can't do this. In that situation, how do you actually feel belief? This is where an interesting connection appears. Something people often miss. Your thinking does not exist only in your mind. It influences your entire body. And when your body changes, your feelings also change. This is the connection. That becomes the most practical part of this entire puzzle. And in the next topic, we will talk about exactly that. How changing the body can change the mind. And now comes the final tool that can stop your mind from working against you and bring it to work in your favor. But the interesting thing is, this tool does not work in your mind. It works in your entire body. Let's try a small experiment. Right now, for a second, Slightly drop your shoulders. Look down. And breathe slowly. Just for 2 seconds. Now ask yourself. How does it feel? A little heavy? A little low? A little defeated? Now let's try something else. Sit up straight. Pull your shoulders back. Keep your chest a little open. And take a deep breath. Now how do you feel? A little better? A little more alert? Now notice something. You did not think a positive thought. You did not say any affirmation. You did not do any visualization. You only changed your body. And the feeling changed. This is the mind-body connection. We often think. First the mind will change. Then the body will change. But the truth is, this process works in both directions. Thought changes the body. And the body changes thought. Science explains this very clearly. When you are stressed, your body releases a hormone called cortisol. This is the stress hormone. If cortisol stays high repeatedly, what happens? Mental clarity decreases. Decision-making becomes weaker. Creativity almost disappears. And the body also begins to feel physically exhausted. Which means, negative thinking does not just affect your mood. It affects your entire system. But here is the good news. The opposite is just as powerful. If you consciously keep your body calm, cortisol decreases. Your mind becomes clearer. And the quality of your thinking automatically improves. Now let's understand this with a real situation. There is a girl, Neha. Before every exam, Neha becomes so anxious that she forgets even what she has studied. She tries to think positively, but the anxiety still does not go away. Then one day, she tried a simple experiment. Before the exam began, for 5 minutes, she simply took deep breaths. Slowly. In, 4 seconds. Hold, 4 seconds. Out, 4 seconds. That was it. That day she noticed. Her mind was calmer than before. What she remembered came back clearly. And even what she did not remember started connecting in her mind. Neha did not change her thoughts. She gave her body a signal. You are safe. And the body sent the same message to the mind. This is the practical power of the mind-body connection. Now 3 simple things you can start today. First, deep breathing. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, try 4-4-4 breathing. It resets the nervous system. Second, physical movement. Take a short walk. Stretch. When the body moves, blood flow in the brain increases. And the mood naturally improves. Third, posture. It may seem like a small thing, but research shows sitting upright noticeably increases confidence. Your body, every second, is sending signals to your mind. Now the question is, what message are you sending through your body? If you have made it this far, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Because that means you are among those people who do not just want to listen, but truly want to change. And now, the bonus you have been waiting for. If you have come this far, you are already ahead of 90% of people. Because what is coming next is the most simple and the most practical step of this entire journey. Something that you can start today, right now, at this very moment. Alright. So here comes the bonus. And this bonus is special. Because it is the simplest tool in this entire journey. But ironically, this is also the tool that people ignore the most. Its name is gratitude. But wait. This is not the generic advice you hear in every motivational video. Be grateful, everything will be fine. No. This is something completely different. Gratitude is not just a feeling. It is actually a reprogramming tool. And to understand this, you first need to understand one thing. Your brain slowly starts accepting as reality the information it sees. Again and again. We already talked about this earlier. When a thought repeats frequently, the brain creates neural pathways for it. Now think about a simple question. If every day, for just 5 minutes, you focus on the things that are good in your life, what will your brain do? It will keep processing those same things again and again. It will build stronger neural pathways for them. And slowly, looking for the good will become its default mode. That is the real power of gratitude. This is not positive thinking. This is brain rewiring. Now let's understand this with an example. There is a boy named Akash. At that time in his life, Akash had many problems. He did not have a job. His relationship was falling apart. There was tension at home as well. Every night before sleeping, he would think about those same problems. And the moment he woke up, the same thoughts would come back again. One day he tried a small experiment. He decided that every night before sleeping, he would write 3 things that went well that day. On the first day, he felt like nothing good had happened. But then he thought a little more. Today the food tasted good. Today a friend called me. Today it rained, that felt nice. Small things. Very small things. But he wrote them down. After 1 week, Akash noticed that even during the day, he started noticing good things. After 1 month, his problems were still there. But the way he looked at those problems had changed. Now he started seeing possibilities even inside those problems. And when you start seeing possibilities, taking action becomes much easier. That is the shift. That changes everything. Now the question is, how do you practice this practically? There are 3 simple steps. First step. Every night before sleeping, write down 3 things that went well that day, no matter how small they are. Second step. Don't just write them. Relive those moments. Feel them again. For a few seconds. Third step. Do this for at least 21 days. Because forming a new habit in the brain usually takes around 3 weeks. And this is not just a feel-good exercise. Research shows that people who practice gratitude regularly have lower stress levels. They sleep better. Their immune system becomes stronger. And their overall life satisfaction increases significantly. Which means, this does not just change your mindset. It rewires both your brain and body. And the best part? You do not need any expensive course. You do not need any complicated technique. Just 5 minutes. Every night. Throughout this entire journey. From the subconscious mind to beliefs. From patterns to the mind-body connection. Everything points to one simple truth. Your life is a reflection of your thinking. And if you can reprogram that thinking every night with a small ritual, then maybe change is not as difficult as we always believed it was. So today, we went through an entire journey. And the biggest realization from this journey is this: whatever is happening in your life, its root is not outside. It is within you. Your thinking shapes your reality. Your subconscious mind drives your choices. Your beliefs define your limits. And even your body influences the way you think. But the most powerful realization is this: all of it can be changed. Not with massive effort. Not with dramatic transformation. Just with a small habit. Every night, write down 3 things that went well that day. Because whatever the brain sees again and again, it slowly begins to accept as reality. So tonight, just do this one thing. And if today's book made you pause and think, even for a moment, here's a question for you. Have you ever wondered how much you truly believe in yourself? Because in the next video, we'll talk about believe in yourself, where we'll understand that self-belief is not just confidence. It is a power that can change the direction of your entire life. Because when you truly start believing in yourself, many things begin to feel easier. If you want books like this to reach you first, make sure to subscribe now. Like the video, share it, and tell me in the comments, what was the most powerful idea you took from today's book? This was Book Echo English, where we don't just read books. We read life. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of 90% of people. Now there's just one step left. The 2 videos on your screen are your next step. Click on one of them. Because stopping is easy. But changing is a decision.